All righty, Pamela. Well, it's been great briefly chatting with you off the recording here. Pamela, I would love for you to really kickstart this interview with giving me more of a detail when it comes down to your professional experience in the HR world, and we'll go from there.
Okay. Well, my experience in the HR world began in the healthcare industry. I worked for three different healthcare organizations in Orlando in human resources. One was a hospital system, Orlando Health. Then I worked for One Blood, which is a blood bank, and then I worked for the Nemours Children's Clinic, which is subspecialty, medical children's care. So in that 8 years of medical industry experience that I had in human resources, I did recruiting, I did benefits administration, I handled workers' comp when people got injured and were put out on light duty. I dealt with employee relations where employees weren't, doing their job correctly or had performance issues. So I worked with the managers and the employees to come to a conclusion about, what was done, whether it was a disciplinary system, a series of disciplinary actions, and some of them led up to termination. I also was involved with training. For example, the blood bank had like 30 branches around the state of Florida. So I went and did like diversity training at the branches because there was some conflict between employees of different ethnic backgrounds. So, those are some examples of my HR work during that time. And then I started working for the defense industry and aviation companies primarily. Like I worked at Northrop Grumman doing recruiting of new college grads that were needed by Northrop Grumman, for like summer internships or new grad opportunities for people that were like aviation engineers um or like accounting roles. I got the opportunity when I was with Northrop Grumman to go to Warner's Robin, Georgia, where they had the Joint Star planes being repaired. So I got to see the huge aircraft and the work that was being done with the sheet metal repairs and all the cabling of the aircraft. So that was way cool. And then I worked for this company, DynCorp International, and I was a recruiter for them, and they had aviation programs in the Middle East. So I was working with the management team to hire fixed wing pilots, helicopter pilots, logistics people with a maintenance mechanics that worked on the aircraft to get it repaired. And so that was a lot of really cool experience working on that program. And then I also worked for Lockheed Martin for a year, doing recruiting with the F-35 program. So I hired instructors that did instruction on how to fly the F-35 aircraft using simulation machines. So not actually, in the air, but actually teaching pilots how to fly the F-35 in simulation environments.
That sounds amazing, Pamela.
Yeah.
Mhm.
In my current role, I work for a manufacturing company that manufactures aircraft engine parts, like for Pratt Whitney, for example. So making aircraft engine parts out of steel, Inconel, aluminum, different materials, and so it's high precision manufacturing, and that's related to the aviation industry, what I'm doing right now.
Yeah, you said it beautifully. You really gave me a clear outline as far as your professional background when it comes to human resources. You've done the recruiting, you've done the payroll, you've done the employee relation, implementing processes, streamlining that as well. I've heard a few industries. You worked in currently manufacturing for aircrafts. You work in healthcare as well as aviation. So you have those transferable skills that my client is seeking. I want to move to the business impact when it comes to being in HR. Pamela, how are you able to evaluate the business impact of an HR decision?
Well, I have meetings with the management group. Like for example, at my current company, we meet once a week or every 2 weeks, and we just go over like what's going on, what the current hiring needs are, what the performance issues are that are occurring with different employees, who's out on workers' comp, or things out with that. Um, and as far as like employee changes, maybe some employees are changing from one function like manufacturing over to quality control, and the associated job title changes or pay ranges that go along with that. I'm involved with employee surveys, so doing employee surveys using the ADP Workforce Now HRIS system that my company currently uses. So doing those surveys and seeing what the employees, getting a pulse on how the employees are doing in the different groups, and then working with management to address the employee concerns to improve employee satisfaction and get the most retention that we possibly can with people, because hiring people is expensive and you put a lot of time and energy, and you want to try to retain as many people as you can. So those are some of the examples of me working with management. And I also I consider myself really skilled at working with high level management, middle management, as well as the employees. Like
Absolutely.
doing employee support. Like if an employee has a benefits question, or they can't get onto the ADP application on their phone, helping to contact ADP to get that resolved. Like today, I got a mortgage verification, filling that out and getting the details so that I can submit that mortgage verification back to the mortgage company for an employee.
Absolutely. And it sounds like you're very hands-on with your employees. So I would love to know, what methods do you use to build morale and strengthen employee engagement across departments?
The methods I use are to stay in touch and be present with the employees, managers, or directors, because like I'm not the sort of HR person that sits in my office and they have to come to me. I'm out there in my current role, I'm out there in the manufacturing areas, walking around talking to the employees. I'm in offices with managers, asking them what's going on. I'm in the meetings. They come to me when things come up, of course, too. So it's a two-way communication process, but being present, because I know that some HR people are just, they don't want to really get in the trenches, so to speak, with where the action is, and that's not the approach I take. I got to be in the trenches, so I know what's going on, and so employees, when they feel a certain way, can express that to me and feel comfortable, so that I can move the issue up the ladder, or resolve it myself if I can directly, so we can get it closed for the employee. And maybe it's something that like they have a request and we can't do anything about it, but at least getting back to them and getting an answer.
Absolutely. I completely agree with that complete aspect, Pamela. Now, you mentioned that you work with government contracts. I would love to know what steps you take to ensure that you're fully compliant with your local, state, or even your federal employment laws.
Let's see. Well, with the American Disabilities Act, like I make sure that if it appears that an employee needs an accommodation, for the workplace, I like I do everything I can to make the employee aware and the manager aware that an accommodation could possibly be done, and as long as the business can do it. Some accommodations are too extreme, and it's not something the business can help out with. Um, for example, when I was at the One Blood in Orlando, there was a person that was a phlebotomist, so they were sticking needles in people, drawing blood, and this lady had a mental health issue where she would go into like a state of mind where she couldn't recognize that she was with anybody else. And so there's no way we could accommodate her disability. We had to end up terminating her because it was a threat to the blood donor's health to be able to keep her employed. So that's one regulation. Another one is the Family Medical Leave Act. If an employee's been, with the organization more than a year, and helping them to apply for FMLA so that their job is protected. Like, for example, with my current job, we had somebody that had a cardiac condition, so they were able to get intermittent FMLA. And then also making sure that, all payroll is done correctly, so there's no issues with the Department of Labor as far as timekeeping and payroll goes. Make sure employees are paid everything that's due to them, and also to make sure that there's no sexual harassment going on or discrimination, so that we don't have a case from the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission.
Absolutely.
Everything that can be done to avoid that.
That's right. And it sounds like you're very educated when it comes down to the laws in itself. I know that we briefly spoke about the few HR systems that you've utilized. What are some other HRIS platforms that you have used? And with that, how do you ensure that the data accuracy can leverage reporting for your business insights?
Currently, I use ADP Workforce Now for the app. It's got a recruiting module of it, so that's what I currently use. I've used iSums. I've used like PeopleSoft in the past, and so those systems have like reporting capabilities you can get out of them to see what your applicant flow is. Like, for example, like a funnel of applications. Basically, you get 100 applications in. They move to the stage where the recruiter reviews them. The manager reviews the person. Interview stage. Decline the, handle it. Have an interview. Either hire the person or don't hire the person. And the analytics that go with it on the number of events as well as the amount of time it's taking. Like I've produced some reports where it shows that the managers are sitting on the applicants, for a month and I'm not trashing managers by any means, but sometimes managers get busy. So you can see where the bottlenecks are by running those reports out of the ATS systems.
That's right. That's right. Well, thank you for that information. One of my last questions for you are going to be, have you ever had to supervise any other HR professionals? And how are you able, if so, how are you able to foster their development?
So fostering other HR professionals?
Yeah.
Well, let's see. When I worked for Numerous Children's Clinic, I had 2 employees that reported to me. One reported at the Orlando office, and another one was in the Fort Myers office. So I helped to develop them and train them on their HR knowledge as situations arose. And then in a recruiting role, I've had people that have helped me do sourcing for candidates, or recruiting coordinators, working with them and making them aware, like maybe of some of the nuances of different hiring managers, or what the skill sets are that are required. So being like a team lead for other recruiting coordinators or other junior recruiters.
Absolutely. And my last question for you, Pamela, is going to be, what are you looking for out of the next company, or, whether it's the culture, the opportunity, what is that you're looking for in your next opportunity?
I am looking for another human resources, role, and I would love to work for a organization where there's some dynamic aspects to it. Like I would not want to go work for like a call center where it's where it's like everybody sits in a cubicle and it's a staid type environment. I'd like, not that I have anything against call centers, but I'd like to work in something that's got some dynamics to it, is the best way to describe it.
Yeah, that was very well said, Pamela. Well, I truly enjoyed our interview this afternoon. I'm going to go ahead and pause this recording. Don't hang up on me quite yet. I want to continue chatting with you off the video here.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks.
Thank you, Pamela.